All right, so figuring out where to attach this is gonna kind of be a little bit tricky because I'm not 100% sure exactly where I want to do it. Now, I've got my smooth coil here that I've pounded out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and attach this to that area, okay? Talking about this area here. And so I'm gonna cut this so that it'll fit a little bit better, all right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut this to size and also to the angle of the way that is going. There we go. That's gonna fit in there, okay? And again, I dry fit it so that I make sure that it's gonna fit, and then I'm gonna go ahead and score, slip, and smooth. Really important that we score, slip, and smooth the first piece that we attach each day, all right? As the gravity pulls a lot of that moisture out of the clay, it's gonna dry up quite a bit. When it's really soft and wet, we can go ahead and just smooth it together and it's probably gonna be okay. But as soon as it gets drier, okay, that's where we need to really kind of make sure that we got plenty of water there, all right, so that it's going to attach itself really well, and that way the construction of our project is gonna hold together. Okay, we don't want any kind of weird cracks or anything like that developing just because we didn't take the time. Oops. What happened here? There we go. That's the way. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm not necessarily being too careful about it. It's not that critical that it is super precise in how it's attached, okay? Because I can use that pinch method, as I showed you guys before, to kind of help fill in those little gaps so that it connects there nice and easy. Now, you'll notice that I also have quite a bit of a step here kind of going up. If I'm not happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of trim that off there. And then maybe I can trim this so that it kind of evens out and levels up a little bit more, okay? If I wanted to, I could probably continue going up like that if I wanted to. Kind of depends on what your idea of what you want to do is. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and smooth this together. And then I got an idea of how I want to connect my tube that I created in that last video so that we can have that nice hole going through it. Again, you do not have to do that, okay? I am just showing you one way that you can add a little more interest and make it a little bit more interesting in that respect. If that doesn't appeal to you, if that's not something that you think you want to do for your particular project, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? So don't be afraid, you know, to say, oh, well, just because Mr. Beeman did it, I have to do it. No, not at all. You're the artist. You make that decision. You get to decide how it's going to look, okay? Again, we're listening to our clay. Clay's kind of telling me it wants to go out that way. Okay, gotcha. Okay, and so I'm going to listen to what it's telling me it wants to do. Okay, this side over here, I kind of like this indentation. I'm going to exaggerate that a little bit more. Again, I'm smoothing this out, making sure we don't have any tool marks left behind, making sure we get rid of all those seams that we can see from where those pieces are attached, okay? Because we don't want to see that in the final project, okay? We don't want to see that in our final glazing, because those little dents, those little bumps, they're going to show up like a sore thumb, okay? Okay, I think I kind of used the example if you ever painted a car and it's like somebody did a drum number with hammers on the hood of your nicely new painted car. It's going to make it look ugly. It's going to make it see, you're going to see all those little dents and things that we don't want, or we would not want, I would imagine, in a car, okay? So the same thing on the surface of this. We want to make sure that all those little dents and dings and bumps and stuff like that, make sure that they're gone so that we can't see them. All right? Okay, so there we go. Kind of that going, that guy's going. So I think I'm going to place this guy right around in here. All right? I think it's going to go right on the end there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this down so that it meets up. Hopefully you guys can see that. So this meets up with that seam of where it's going to be attached. All right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to cut this because I don't want this big tube sticking out the side. That looks kind of awkward. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and cut this so that it will follow the contour of the vase that I've already got started. Okay? So gonna go like that. So that way, as I put this together, okay, and as it comes up, it's gonna look like that is just kind of part of my design. So as this comes around here, okay, just gonna kind of follow along that line, cut this out over here so that it'll meet up with that outside edge. Okay, again, this is a new piece. This is some area that I haven't worked with today. So I'm gonna go ahead and score and slip. Okay, and then I will score and slip all along here. Now, it's not that critical that I'm too careful about where I score and slip, at least as far as on the bottom part. Nobody's ever gonna see that. It's impossible, okay? They wouldn't be able to actually turn it upside down unless they broke it, and then obviously that would be bad. But we're gonna go ahead and open this up, or attach this right there on that outer edge. Now, I left a little bit of extra clay here. That's not a big deal because I can smooth that in. All right, I'm gonna pinch that in there, make sure that that goes together. All right, and now again, it's about smoothing this together, okay, all along this seam, because we don't want to see where those two seams are joined. Okay, so I'm just going to drag the clay from the tube down into that, drag the clay down on the outside edge here. I'm going to go back over this a couple of times. Because A, I want this to be really well connected, all right, but B, I want the transition from my vase or the body here into that tube to be perfectly smooth. I don't want there to be a big dent like you can actually see. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll hold this up a little bit closer. Okay, you can see right here there's this big dent. I'm trying to get rid of that right now. All right, and if that means that I roll this back a little bit and then that way I can smooth this over a little bit more, so be it. Okay, that's fine. Again, listen to what the clay's telling you it wants to do. If the clay's gonna make it smoother by doing that, then absolutely, yeah, go for it, okay? Again, there's really no wrong answer when you're making one of these. There's no wrong way to do it. There's no wrong look to it. We just want it to look as realistic or as organic, I guess would be a better description of it, as possible, so that we don't have any weird bumps that don't really look like they belong, or any weird tool marks that shouldn't be there, those kinds of things, all right? So as I'm looking over here, this needs to be trimmed off a little bit. Okay, fine. Okay, we can just do that. And there's gonna be a lot of smoothing, okay, as we go. I cannot reiterate this enough. No, you do not have to do this. This is just something that you could do if you wanted to, okay? So please, don't feel obligated to do this. All right. That's starting to look pretty good, okay? So I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit more, and then I'll show you how to continue building that up in the next one.